we've got one in the tree. Can you believe it? When last did you see an Nkuhuma cub sitting in the tree? I remember not too long ago, well, though it feels like ages ago, we had them all playing in the marula trees and the apple leaves. It was their absolute favorite game. So it's still good to see that they haven't forgotten one of their favorite things to do, because it's very sad to see these Nkuhumas getting older. I miss them when they were really little and really playful. And I think this one has maybe got itself stuck in this tree. There's a couple of spiky branches there. It's lucky that it's in an African wattle, because we know that that's David's favorite tree, and well, it's his favorite leaves too, if you remember. Now, where are you going to go? I wouldn't plan on going any higher. I think that's a little bit risky, but look at those beautiful golden eyes. So Jamie has just said to Rebecca that the lions are now planning on, practicing, at being an elegant leopard, which I think is quite nice. And I'm glad this little one is entertaining us this afternoon. Whether it's going to make it to the top of this tree, I'm not sure. If it's going to fall out, we will have to have a little giggle. It's going through like a little loop in the branch there. It's going to wedge itself in. You better be careful. Oh, it's a pity. This is sometimes when I wish I had little strings attached to the branches so I could pull them out of the way so you could all see clearly. Oh, all the bark is coming off now. Be careful, little one. Trying desperately, yes. Maybe if you go over the top of that branch. And look at this. We're watching this little one try and figure out what it needs to do in order to either get down. Careful. Although I must say they're a lot more elegant in a tree now that they have honed in on those balancing skills. They are almost triple size since we last saw them. Look how big they are. They're not cubs anymore. I'm very sad. Let's see, a big jump, or you're going to slide down, and no, that's not graceful at all. And there it goes. I don't see too many of the cubs, so I think that they all must be playing off just to the side here. And it's very thick where we are, but we're lucky. We've got these small little nimble vehicles, and we're able to head into areas that most people can't. Right, let's see. Let's see if we can follow that little one. Right, be careful of all the branches. Try and get back here. Ooh! I drove over a small tree. And you know me, I like to, of course, collect trees. Okay, we're going to take this one down, though. We don't need this one. But I just need to angle myself. I do apologize if I'm just concentrating at the moment. Whee! Oh my goodness, there's so many branches here. I'm trying to do this without my goodness. Woo! So it seems as though we're going to do quite a bit of maneuvering around here. I'm going to save myself the embarrassment, and we're going to jump across with Jamie and Herbert, and well, hopefully they're having a bit more luck at navigating than I am. We were stuck for a moment, but I have to tell you how funny it was. Is that after going over all of those old trees, I must have clipped something, but anyway, the diff lock gear jumped out of, well, 4x4, and for a moment I couldn't move, and I couldn't work out why I couldn't move. And it's funny how the most simple of things can get you wedged in one spot. But we're back, and thankfully these lion cubs, they're actually all down in this drainage system. One of them has kindly moved out and decided to sit up on a termite mound. What I'm going to do is, Brian, I think if I move forward slightly, you'll have a better view, because I've got a clear view. So that means I've got to shift forward a little bit. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Isn't that lovely? And hopefully the others all follow in that one's path and head straight up to the top of that mound. Now, David, you're wondering if a mother will ever reject one of its cubs. I'm sure there's a possibility. We see that happening often with various types of animals. Elephants sometimes do it. You see it with impala, zebra. So I couldn't imagine that it wouldn't happen with a lion. Though I've actually never seen it firsthand. There's another little cub. Oh, there, they're all coming out now. And, well, I actually hope to not see it, to be honest. I couldn't imagine anything more heartbreaking. It's sad enough seeing things like impala, but of course a little cute lion cub would be very, very sad to see on its own. Okay, well, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can see a fifth one coming out. We'll just hopefully wait and count them and see if there are 6 of them here. I'm sure they all are here. There might be one that has just decided to go and hang around with the adults. You always get that, you know, you always have one sibling that prefers their parents more than the siblings and friends and will hang around with them. Hello, cuties. And we've got to see if Flip-Flop is here too. I haven't seen her yet, but she is minute compared to her siblings. They've really outgrown her, and she's got a lot of catching up to do. And that's a nice spot. They can see their mothers across the way, who we'll go and look at a moment, but they were still sleeping, so I'm not really too worried about them just yet. But there's nothing more beautiful than seeing lions at the top of a termite mound, and it's a big one too. We're actually quite high up, so it doesn't do it justice, but I reckon that termite mound's probably maybe about 12 feet, even 16 feet. Hannah, you're wondering where the babysitters are. The babysitters are actually just behind us and to the left of where we are. I don't think we'll see them now, though. They're hidden behind some bushes, but it seems as though there are 3 lionesses here. Well, they haven't moved too far, but I'm glad that we got here at this time, that they started waking up, because there is honestly nothing worse in this world than watching flat lions fast asleep, not even twitching an ear, although I've decided I can think of something worse. Are you ready to hear it? Watching rugby on television. Yep, I said it. All the South Africans are going to hate me now, but that's fine. I would prefer to go and watch the game live. I don't like watching sport on television. I think it is more exciting if you have the opportunity to, of course, go and watch it in the flesh, the whole experience, the noise that you just don't get from, well, watching on TV. And that's how I feel about. I think Lions is on top, though. Sleeping Lions is on top, and then watching sport on TV. What do you think, Lions? Do you enjoy watching sport on TV? Yes? Twitch your ear once if you say yes. Oh, no. Yeah, no, that was twice. That was 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, I don't know what you like. You're confusing me. Oh, is that little Flip-Flop down there? I've just seen the other cub, by the way. I think they're all 6 of them are down there. Can you see that one that's hiding to the that's hiding directly behind the bush willow? I think that's my favorite little girl, sitting there, looking all mangy. But she's looking much better. Still a little bit of mange on her, but there's definitely a massive improvement from what she looked like a couple of months ago. Remember, she was almost completely black in colour. And I was so worried about her. I think we were all so worried about her. We're now being snuck up on them by a young Nkuhuma. Hello. Did you see? That's cheeky. It's giving us a little bit of a snarl there. You chose to come and walk past us, not the other way around. Sassy lion, that one. So wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, and I've just, like I said, the other one is on its way up. Here we go. We're going to have 4 lion cubs soon on the top of a termite mound. Up you go, little one. Now imagine if we had to sit and watch them. Oh, actually, I just heard a branch break. I think there's some elephants nearby. I know it's elephants because I've stopped moving the vehicle and I'm not driving over branches anymore. You can see they're looking. They heard the cracking that I heard. Oh, you guys better be careful. Although, actually, they don't need to be careful. They're on a very, very secure spot with that little drainage line surrounding the termite mound. And then, of course, they're quite high up. So I think that they should be fine. It must be coming close because they've all got up now. They're staring, and it didn't sound too far. Perhaps they have spotted it. It's a pity that this vegetation is just so thick that we aren't able to see what's behind all of those bushes. Now, Shannon, you're wondering at what age will the young male lions get their manes? It's really funny. It's actually one of my favorite things to watch when lions sort of start to age, is the young cubs. They sort of get a bit of a hairy chest first, and just underneath their chins you'll see tufts of hair starting to form, and that stays like that. It gets a bit awkward. It stays like that for a while, and normally at I'd say about a year and a half you can start to see it developing, and then at 2 years it's a little bit more prominent, and by the time they get to about 3 years old it's not great. They're very strange. I'm looking around now, I'm just seeing, because they're now all looking back. One of the lionesses has just got up. That's why they've just moved. Oh, and I hope that they don't go roaming around over here, because it is not going to be fun trying to follow these Nkuhumas through this very, very thick vegetation. So now they're not so worried about the elephant anymore. I wonder if Mom's not going... One of those lionesses is not going to investigate. Where's the others? You might be able to hear all the lions contact calling now. All looking, listening. Now, James Dungan, just as we watch these lions, you've asked on this very cloudy afternoon if there are any animals that aren't easily habituated. Yes, I think definitely that's the case. You know what? Oh, hang on. I'll get to your question now, James. Let's listen to this quickly. I think all the lionesses have got up. Isn't that the most beautiful shot? I hope you're all taking lots of screenshots. I can't see the lionesses anymore. I don't know where they've moved to. I believe that one little lion cub that smiled at us has decided to move away. It sat down right behind my vehicle. Here they come. Let's watch these guys run down. Don't worry, James, I haven't forgotten your question. We'll get back to that in a moment. One of the lionesses, I think, is just below them, has come to fetch them. Maybe they're going to go on a bit of a walkabout. I hope they go back towards Buffelshoek Dam. Here we go, and they're all just behind there in that little drainage system. 2 left to go. So, James, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head some animals that are quite difficult to habituate. It is a tough one. Birds are pretty, well, you know, even they're easy, because we used to see the hornbills coming in and often eating at breakfast, and they would only fly away when you got to 30 centimeters away from them. Otherwise they would stay put and eat as much as they could. Monkeys, very easy to habituate. Most of the animals are pretty easy. I would say you'd have to start going into reptiles, would be difficult ones, like the terrapins, to get them relaxed that they wouldn't sort of dive back into the water. That is pretty tough. And it depends. Like I was saying the other day, impala, zebra, waterbuck, they're a little bit more difficult to habituate because we don't get too close to them. We don't off-road for them, of course. So they're not quite used to all of the branches breaking if you are driving around. They're normally quite frightened by them. Now we've got to try and follow these lions. Do I have a lion behind me? No? No. Wonderful. We don't want to drive over one of those. Right, let's try turning here. Let's do this. I apologize. Woo! Got, as you can see, much off-roading to do and catching up to do, so I'm going to try and, well, get through some of this very, very thick stuff. Let's go across to Jamie, and, well, Jamie says she's very difficult to habituate. Right, apologies for that. Jamie's also battling with the gremlins this afternoon. They seem to be out in full force. But we've got the Nkuhumas who are protecting us now. And I don't think that any gremlin would possibly want to mess with an Nkuhuma lioness. We've seen how feisty they are. And well, we've seen them taking down buffalo on numerous occasions, so I'd be a little bit wary of them. Oh my gosh, the cubs are up to their tree climbing antics again, which is wonderful. Let's see if we can get a view around the corner, and thankfully we didn't have to actually do too much off-roading. We were able to catch up to them pretty quickly. We're about, you can just see... Oh, fantastic. Andrew's actually said that I can jump in front of him, which is wonderful. So let's do that. That little one disappearing around the corner. And I think they're going to go for a drink. Whether they... Hi, everybody. Whether they make it to the dam, I'm not sure. Oh, and there's lots of vultures around as well. Now, Yankee, wondering if we're able to read a lion's emotions. Hello, little one. I think so. I'm just going to pull off the road over here. Ah, there they are. All the Nkuhumas. Yes, I think so. They tell us with their ears when they're unhappy with us. They either make them flat, they prick them up, they do all sorts of things, or they snarl at us, or they move their tail around, or they even are vocal with us. So it's pretty easy. It's not actually too difficult. I find the cat's emotions quite easy to read if you compare it to something like an impala. I think an impala's behavior is probably a little bit more difficult to read than a lion's, but that's just my personal opinion. But I think also we sit for such long periods with these big cats is that we do pick up and learn quicker about their behaviors. Whereas impala, we love them and we stop for them and we view them. But I mean, let's be honest, when last did any of us sit for an hour and a half watching a specific herd of impala? We don't do that like we follow these big cats. So I reckon if I were to put in the effort and sit and watch the impala, well, I'd probably learn a little bit more about their behavior, wouldn't I? There's a big rollover from one of the girls. And I wonder when Amber Eyes and the youngest Nkuhuma lioness is going to make their return. Because it's been some time now since we've last seen them. Well, we had them one evening. What was that, about 2 weeks ago now? Maybe even a bit longer, almost 3 weeks ago. Yeah, and a scratch, not wasting any time, up she goes to rejoin the rest of the pride. Yeah, big yawn as well. I'm hoping that they do go down to Buffelshoek Dam, because it would be really, really nice if we could have a look at them, having a nice drink. And also give us an opportunity again, if they all line up next to each other, to see how much the little cubs have indeed grown. And off she goes. Come on, everybody, keep your fingers crossed that the rest of the lionesses follow in the footsteps of the one that has just passed. Because I hope that they don't decide to have a quick nap here. It's not necessary. Good little cub. Get up and you carry on. You show the adults how it's done. Nope, just thinking about it. Now the problem is that we can't go anywhere until these lions move, because the vegetation has got so thick that it's almost impossible for us to even try and go around like what we normally would. We'll just have to be patient. Jenny Jetson, welcome. We are so happy to have you here on Safari Live. And everybody, Jenny Jetson is a new viewer, and you were wondering if these lions have names. So Jenny, the females in particular don't have names, but the entire pride has got a name, and they are known as the Nkuhuma Pride, which means brown ivory tree. And that was the tree that they were first found under by one of the rangers in this, one of the guides in this area. So that's what that means. And we also have male lions, and now typically the male lions have also, the coalitions have got names. So we see the Birmingham males on a regular basis. And there was a bit of a stir-up with two of the Matimba boys who passed through, but they seem to have been sent back home with their tails between their legs. Come on, girl, jump up for us so we can keep following. And then all of the Birmingham boys have got names too. So we've got Nena and Nsuku, Mfumo, and I knew I was going to do this. I knew I was going to forget one of their names. What's wrong with Tinyo? And there we go, Tinyo. How could I forget Tinyo? That is terrible. We're just going to stay here until she decides to move around, because I don't want to start the vehicle and start heading towards her. Otherwise, we'll probably end up encouraging her unnecessarily to get up and move. So if she needs to have a little nap and a bit of beauty sleep, well, then we'll be patient. We'll have a little nap and some beauty sleep too. Let's just hope those flies bite her bottom so much that she decides that she cannot handle it anymore and she's got to move off. That's what I'm hoping for. Sleeping Beauty. But she matches the road. So Brian, what colour would you describe that line in the road? What name would you give that colour?
Beige.
Beige. It's amazing. Do you think the road is camouflaging or pretending to be a lion? No, I'm joking. I'm just talking nonsense now. Thank you, girl, for getting up. Don't even listen to the things that I'm about to say, because it's absolute nonsense. Right, I think it's also time for lights now. This is exciting. Right. And we also can go out of 4x4 for now until they decide. No, now I've neutraled myself again. I'm not going anywhere when I do that. I don't think Brian's actually ever going to let me live it down. Hey, Brian. I'm waiting for dinner tonight for the snarky remarks to come out. That's why I told you all and I was honest about it. Because I thought for a moment I was going to have to get a vehicle sent out to come and rescue me. Luckily not. Thank goodness for Brian. Otherwise, can you imagine that embarrassing story? Oh, hello, lions. Hang on, let me go back just a smidgen. There we go. Still on the road. Where's my spotlight? Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this one on. You're going to see the camera move, but sorry, I'm leaning over the vehicle. I'm putting one of the LED lights on that are not as harsh as the spotlight, and it's sort of got a wider beam just to illuminate them slightly, because it's getting a little bit dark now. Here we go, but that's much better, isn't it? So we've got 3 lionesses, and I just want to triple check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the 6th cub? I think it's laying on the other side of the... Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I can't count. There it is. It was right in front of my eyes this whole time. Oh, I haven't got any comms. Hang on. Sorry, Rebecca, if you're trying to talk to me. I'm just trying to fix my radio. Now, this is actually quite a tricky question. Miss Martinez was asking how can you tell how old the lion cubs are? It's actually a tricky thing because they grow so quickly. So if you look at this lion, should we start with the lion closest to us? This cub is quite large. Now, there were actually 3 different litters. So we know the ages because we've been following them. So this cub is about 8-9 months old, somewhere around there. And then you see the cub that's just to the right of that one. That little one over there, that is my favorite little girl. I think it's my favorite little girl. It looks like her. And she's the smallest. And she is only 7 months old, 6-7 months old. And then the one just to the left of her, that is from the 2nd litter of cubs. And that one is about 7 or 8 months old, sort of just give or take. But they're looking good. Their patchy elbows are disappearing, which is nice. See, it's getting much better now. The hair is definitely starting to grow again. And I cannot even believe that. That is the most exciting thing I think that's actually happened to us, is that the Nkuhuma cubs managed to but beat the mange. There were a couple of patches where we were very, very much worried, especially after what happened to the Styx Pride. And I know because we've got a couple new viewers, Jenny is being one of them. I'll just let you know. So there's another pride of lions that we see known as the Styx lioness, and there's 3 lioness. They also had 8 cubs at one point. When I did my interview drive, I was fortunate enough to go out with Jamie one morning just to see how it's done, and I got to see all 8 Styx cubs. But they were absolutely covered in mange, and unfortunately the adults have it, whereas the Nkuhuma lionesses don't have mange. Is that Flip-Flop? No, that's my favorite girl. I made a mistake. That's the youngest one there. Apologize for that. That's the little girl. And and well, those cubs unfortunately all passed on from the main, so you can imagine why we were so concerned when the Nkuhumas have picked it up. Ah, look who I've got behind me. What I'm gonna try and do is I want to try and actually reshuffle over here. Brent has actually just popped up behind me, so I know that him and all of his wonderful guests would like to have a view, so let's try and make it that they can squeeze in too. Perhaps we'll go the scenic way around. Brent, are you sure? Okay, let me go forward for you. Just shifting the vehicle forward just slightly for Brent. Brent said he's very kind. He's such a gentleman. He said that he was going to go the scenic way around for us. Now you can see the bars just there. I do remember that we have, of course, this roof over the top of our heads this evening. Now, Shannon, you've wondered if Amber Eyes and the youngest Nkuhuma lioness are possibly off having babies. So Shannon, we saw them, I don't know, time flies out here. So when I say 3 weeks, 3 weeks feels like it was just the other day. And for everybody else, it's quite a long time ago. And when I saw them, they had no swelling on the mammary glands at all. They were fat. They looked like they'd eaten something, but I don't think so. We've been actually chatting about it at camp, and we suspect that possibly the two of them are coming into estrus again, and maybe that's why they've moved away, possibly sick of being hounded by the Birmingham boys or any male lions that pick up that they're in estrus. And we're not sure if Amber Eyes is infertile or not because she hasn't had cubs, as far as we've been following her, so that's also quite interesting. Whether the youngest Nkuhuma lioness is going to have the same trait, I'm not sure. I hope not. But they've always stuck together. Ever since I've been here, you could see from the beginning the bond that the two of them had. It was definitely stronger between the two of them than it was between the rest of the pride. So they often used to go out on little missions. So we're not really too worried. I'm just not sure where they are at the moment. I don't know. The last time we heard they were racing around chasing all sorts of animals on Arathusa. Oh, I lie. And then we had their tracks. I remember that one morning we went out tracking and we had the two of their tracks crossing past Sydney's dam, out of our traverse into Buffelshoek and then into the Manuleti. And I think that's where they've been hanging around, sort of between Manuleti, Buffelshoek, and I suppose like a triangle, and then around Gari Gate. I hope that they make their return. Hey, life's tough. Look at this little one, he's exhausted. I'm absolutely tired of walking around now. It's been a tough day. Now, I might actually have to shout out across to Brent. Brent, where did those Birminghams end up? Back in Buffelshoek again?
Two males just to the east of Sydney's dam.
Okay.
And one male down far east of us near the Kruger boundary.
Ah, okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Brent. Now, Milana, I think it was, you were wondering if there was an update. Ah, there we go. I was correct. Milana, if there was an update on the Birmingham boys. So there is. Brent has actually just very kindly from across the way given me an update. He says that there are two sort of just east of Sydney's dam, so they're sort of in the Buffelshoek area, and then there's another one on the Kruger Park boundary. So they are about. And as we know, is that the Birminghams seem to have sort of split up slightly, and this is very common for larger coalitions of male, so they'll still be very happy when they see each other, and we've seen this, but they're able to, of course, look after a bigger territory by doing so. So normally we see Tinyo and Mfumo together, and then we see Nena and Nsuku often together too, and it was quite nice. At one point we were seeing 3 Birmingham boys hanging around together. That was Nena. Oh no, Nsuku was here at one point too. It was really nice to see him finally, because it took me ages to have a look at him. But no, they're not coming back just yet. But don't be alarmed. And the lion sightings will become more and more regular again. It's just difficult for these guys to go out and catch things. You can imagine with all of this long grass around, it's not just the northern Sabi sand that is lovely and lush and green at the moment. Everywhere. Kruger National Park, the northern sectors of Kruger. I was at Satara not so long ago, and the grass is long. I wouldn't be able to see over the grass. It is so tall. So there's all of that, and then you go down towards the Sand River and the Sabi River, and it's lush in that sector. Go down to Crocodile Bridge and Malalan, and it is also beautiful down there. So there is so much food for the herbivores, is that they don't need to all round up into big herds and keep on moving around. They can sort of stay put for longer periods of time, and we see that with the elephants now. Look at Fang's herd, for example. She's very easy to identify, that big matriarch with her tusk that points back towards her. We saw her twice, and I'm sure she's probably still around. Brent, while I was chatting away, Brent said very far in the distance, it sounds like there's a male lion in the distance. And that's typical at this time of the day as well. Just as the sun has gone down, and it's obviously very dark tonight because we have got so many clouds around, but there was one giving a bit of a call. But let's take a moment. It's actually very still out here. You probably won't hear much, but just listen to how peaceful it is. And as it gets darker and darker, we'll start to hear more of the nightlife waking up. We might start to hear a few more owls, and it seems as though all those owls are out and about after Brent's variety of owls that he had this morning. Maybe we'll hear the odd fiery-necked nightjar, though I'm not too sure. We normally hear them calling on the clear nights, and it's very cloudy tonight, but you never know. And then, of course, the insects. There's crickets that were chirping. There's a woodland kingfisher just now giving off its last call, and there's one or two cicadas that have braved the cooler weather. How sad. I thought that these Nkuhumas were going to put on a great show for us this afternoon, and it seems as though they are a little bit on the tired side. Should we go and see? I think I'd actually like to go and see what else we could find. This little one, which almost looks like it's bored to death. Now, Maine, you've asked as well, coming into night time now here in South Africa, if any of these cubs are still suckling. I watched the other day one of them attempt to suckle. I think it was actually a little floppy-eared girl, but unfortunately Mom was quite reluctant to let her suckle. She sort of kicked her off again. They're at the age now where they don't need to be suckling anymore, and from what I can see, and it's obviously a bit dark now, is that the suckle marks have dried up almost completely. Those mammary glands from the adults are not too swollen anymore, so there's probably only one lioness, if any, producing milk. But you can see, look at that, nothing. You can see on the right hand side it looks like they've been trying to suckle there, but drying up, and they don't need to. They've been eating meat for quite some time now, but I suppose it is always hard. Right, we're gonna keep going, I think, because these lions, I think, are going to have a sleep for a while. And we got lucky with them, climbing trees and doing all of those exciting things. Now we just need to figure out how